Welcome to the NWI.com Political Roundtable for Thursday, June the 2nd. I'm Robert Blaszkiewicz, Assistant Managing Editor of The Times, here with Doug Ross, Editorial Page Editor of The Times. Mark Kiesling is on assignment right now, so he won't be joining us, but we've got a couple really juicy topics to dive into. Doug, the first one being the news that came down Wednesday, where the Obama administration, specifically Health and Human Services, sent a letter to the state of Indiana saying that due to the law that Indiana passed and that Governor Daniels signed that denied funding for Planned Parenthood, that the Health and Human Services would have to deny Medicaid funding for the entire state of Indiana.
Which is a huge story. I mean, we knew it was going to hurt financially, but we didn't know how excruciating the pain would be. You know, basically, here's a matter where the conservatives now have gotten control of the entire government in Indianapolis, and the federal government is saying, "Hey, you're going too far. You can't do that." And it's not just Indiana. They're cracking down on other states that are doing the same.
And I think they're doing it to make an example of Indiana in order to prevent other states from passing similar laws. So I think that, you know, Indiana, they've got to really think hard about what, you know, the implications that this will mean for the state. For specifically the poor, they won't have access to health care. In an emergency, obviously, you know, someone walks into an emergency room, they get treated. Well, then that cost is absorbed by hospitals, and no one is there to pick up the tab. So there are big implications for for the healthcare industry in Indiana and for the state as well.
And the irony is that, you know, here Indiana has prided itself on being fiscally conservative, and it's just thrown all this money away in the process of you know, saying that, you know, we don't want to fund an organization that does abortions, not with the federal money, not with the state money, but with its own money.
To be clear, it's against federal law to fund abortions. The Hyde Amendment prohibits federal money from being spent on abortion. So it's not that that money was going for abortion. It was that money was going to an organization, Planned Parenthood, that, as part of its services that it provides to women, provides abortions.
Well, and the issue for the people who are supporting Planned Parenthood is a broader issue of what does this mean for family planning in particular. They're raising the issue of the anniversary of Griswold versus Connecticut, which, if I recall, was June 7th of '65, somewhere in there, that said basically that married couples, for instance, could have access to contraceptives, which was, you know, a landmark case. So they're, you know, the Planned Parenthood folks and their supporters are saying, you know, how far back do you want to turn the social clock? And raising that red flag. So.
So who blinks here first? Who is it? Is it going to be the feds, or is it going to be the state in terms of you know, this funding?
Well, the feds have the stronger muscle, so I would say the state blinks. The problem will be getting everybody together to correct that, because, you know, here's the state law. How do you correct a state law? With the legislature out of session.
That's a good question. Well, we'll see about that. The other big thing happening in the state legislature over in Illinois, but it does have some big implications for us here in Northwest Indiana, is the passage in the Illinois House and Illinois Senate of a bill to massively expand gambling at 5 casinos, I believe, including a casino in Chicago, add slot machines at various places,
including O'Hare,
including the airports. So, Doug, what do you think? Well, the first big question is, will Governor Quinn sign this bill? He has voiced opposition in the past, but did not say that he wouldn't refuse to sign it. So he left a window open. So there's that question, and then there's the question of, if he does sign it, what will the impact be here on the casinos in Northwest Indiana?
Well, I don't know, and I don't know. I think Quinn's in a hard place. I mean, he's going to have the state funding. and they really smacked him around quite a bit, not giving him a lot of the things he wanted. He wanted to spend a lot more money, which they don't have. They're billions of dollars in debt, but this is something like, if I remember right, something like tripling the availability of gambling in Illinois, and that comes at a cost. There's only so much of a market for it, and if you make everybody suffer, then it's going to be worse than.
An anti-crime panel also brought up the issue today, Thursday, about the specter of corruption that has seeped through Illinois government and the potential that this bill has. One of the things it does is it weakens the Illinois Gaming Commission, and it creates this new Chicago gambling body that
I wouldn't call it an outfit necessarily.
But you got. It sends up all kinds of red flags with the history of Illinois and the history of Chicago. That it's ripe for corruption. So
absolutely, and Chicago's got enough corruption already without that.
Right.
Which is not to say that the casino interests are necessarily the ones to blame. It could be those who are regulating them. Not currently, but in the future, possibly. Anything can happen, and especially in Illinois.
Yeah, but a Chicago casino would undoubtedly impact, obviously, the casinos that are closest to the state line.
Right.
Horseshoe, certainly Ameristar. Those casinos would feel an impact by a Chicago casino, I would imagine.
I would guess. They've put a lot of money into those casinos, right on the state line already. How much more they can invest, what they can do to, out-casino the Chicago and especially the South Suburban Casino, which would be in a place yet to be named. I mean, remember they talked years ago about putting a tribal casino in Linwood.
Yes.
And they've been talking for years about putting one in Fort Heights, which is the poorest of the poor, when it comes to the south suburbs, especially. So, it probably would be, my guess is Fort Heights or somewhere in the vicinity, and that could draw a lot of traffic away as well. Right. And
well, this may be the strike back against the Illinois campaign.
It could be. I don't know. It would take a lot of time to build a casino, and you don't just bring in a couple of trailers like you do for a portable classroom. You've got to really put a lot of thought into building, and this will be a tough one.
Right. Slot machines are a little more quick though.
Right.
They can just.
But how many do they have? To fill all the need.
Yeah. Well, something to do while you're delayed at O'Hare. So we'll keep an eye on what goes on with that and all the other political developments. Thanks for watching this week, and please join us next week for another political roundtable.